Time is the most valuable stuff any person can have, so using it well is very important. But this is not some motivational video, so I will not say you should not put some of your time on fun and not necessarily useful things. The point is, having fun is not wrong, but today we will talk about video games that have no ending. Namely, we will talk about live service games. Known as games as a service as well, they are games that are planned to run for a very long time. Instead of the typical cycle of release a game and call it a day, a live service game tends to have more continuous production of content and updates. These games have almost existed for a very long time, but they were gaining even more popularity the last few years, well, sadly for all the bad reasons. Let's ask the good question just to be fair for the live service games trend. Why would a game keep producing content? A. To keep players around. B. For financial gain. C. To give the players a grand experience they will never forget. Or D. A and B and C if the game is good. The answer is obviously B. Do not be fooled by that D. It looks big, but it means nothing. You will keep players around for financial gain, you will give grand experiences for financial gain, and you will get financial gain for even more financial gain. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was so bad and unsuccessful, it is in the news every once in a while. No Man's Sky had a very bad release, but eventually recovered. And then you have The Crew, a game that was in the news for being shut down and was removed from Honors Games libraries. The Crew was not a bad game, but the ethical aspect of it was the actual problem here. How are you going to charge players full price and then take that game away from them? Talk about a strong desire to break trust. As it stands right now, ownership is a very big conversation, but it's not our topic. Right now I want to break down the live service stuff to give you a better understanding on it. And because I believe that a live service game can be both be done right or wrong depending on the model they use. Therefore, I will go through a number of these models to see if they can be good and how bad they could really get. Okay, I think it is appropriate to start with the time these games do consume. Live service games are meant to be an ongoing games, so they are designed to take your time. And funny enough, that is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be good. Having a good, trusted game to return to when you are done with a single player campaign, for example, makes life a lot simpler. As well as story building for grand reveals and big moments will be really worth it when it happens. For example, games like COD or Fortnite are good to just get some gaming when there is nothing else to play. Warframe, the new War Quest, was worth it. It was an amazing experience, and right now they are building for the next big thing. Destiny 2 is about a week away from releasing the final shape, probably the climax of Destiny 2. And it does not have to be that specific. It can be something like reaching a certain rank in a competitive game, or only becoming an expert at a game and start and lead your own guild. All these are things that make live service games a great place to put time in for entertainment and be very rewarding. So what are the issues here? First off, when it comes to story driven games, you are putting a lot of faith that a game will deliver. If it does not, and or the build up is not worth it, then you've wasted your time, and honestly that is a huge risk. For example, Destiny 2 Lightfall was a flop, and the results of it is that the players stopped pre-ordering for the next expansion, which is against what they typically do, and that is a huge loss for both the game and the players. The game does not make money and the players have lost trust. As for ranked and competitive games, there are many things that can ruin games like that. For example, hacking, or if a single meta does not get patched quickly enough, the game will either be bad or repetitive and annoying. Just imagine everyone is using the same gun or the same character time and time again. It is just bad. And finally, time investment into a game need, well, time. As you grow, you will have less and less of that to help you with these games, which brings up bigger issues. The first being the malicious system of season passes and limited events, or what is known as the do not miss out method these games use. The reason they are malicious is because they are not beneficial to the player as they might seem, and also disregard the time an individual has. We all have been in positions to be unable to play a game at all for the sake of our future. From final exams to meeting deadlines, we've all been there to deal with that. Having a system like that is just malicious. If I have to give a recommendation, I will make this content replayable, and as for limited rewards, allow players who play it in time get double reward, and the people that are doing only the replay get only the base reward. That is my take on this issue. Let me know what ideas you think will work here, because it can be very difficult. One of the big problems these games are having is actually existing. Think about it. If live service games are becoming a trend, how many people are going to try and fit them into their lives? Yes, in my opinion, the reason why they fail is competition, and they also should not exist sometimes. When another time-sucking game comes out, it has to deal with the following. Could a good game exist and their player base is probably loyal to it? The difficulty to approach live service games because of the consistent bad news and the potential time investment needed. And finally, are you going to own the game? With how gaming libraries are behaving lately, this becomes a very painful point. Live service games are 100% reliant on servers to keep on running and internet connectivity. So if you have bad internet, playing any game on the service will be a nightmare. If servers are bad, it's also the same problem. It will be a nightmare. But if the service shut down, forget the internet, you have a dead software at this point. And it is very sad thing to see. If a game is not popular enough and cannot afford to keep the servers running, it, in my opinion, if the game is sold at full price, then the game must get readjusted to be playable for those who bought it. If the game is free to play and only relies on microtransactions, it would be nice if it can still be playable, but I think it is kind of okay to shut down. Again, I really don't know myself, so please tell me what you think about that. Also, if I recall correctly, there is this weird trend of making normal single player into a live service. This one is a straightforward point. It's stupid, just don't do it. You will have to make a server and you will have to make it online and it will cost you money. I just don't get why a game would do that. We have mentioned it, we might as well start talking about it. The final boss of live service games, microtransactions. Oh boy, where to start? We will start with the definition. What are microtransactions? Microtransactions are useless or useful digital items that will take your money away. Microtransactions are very small in-game virtual purchases for digital goods. Now where do we start with this? Oh, I know. When I looked up microtransactions, it said they are typically for free to play games to offset the game development cost. And the sad part about this is, one, that is the correct use of microtransactions to be used by free to play, and two, that statement is so outdated it's actually insane. Currently everything has microtransactions from full priced games. If adding microtransactions will make a game free to play, I see why it is, and I am fine with it. But when a full priced game does that, it is called greed. The other terrifying point about microtransactions are pay to win aspect of it. Let's go off of examples for a second here. Fortnite is both free to play and not pay to win. Genshin Impact is free to play, but if you pay into the game, you will be better than most. Not that you have to. And then you have Helldivers 2, a $40 game with no pay to win at all. Finally, Star Wars Battlefront 2. When that game came out, you had to buy it full price, and then it is pay to win as well. It was so bad, the game had to be revamped. I hope this made a few things clearer. Pay to win can sometimes exist in what should have been a complete game, where everything should be linked to your progress. However, with games like Star Wars, you can outmatch everyone because you are allowed to buy into the game. That's a very stupid and scary idea at the same time. I also want to bring up this weird hybrid monster that works both as a DLC and a pay to win in live service games. That is called an expansion. No, expansions are not bad. They are more content for a game, but it is weird because live service games should just keep on getting content anyway. Again, this is typically used correctly apart from a few things. For example, Destiny 2 and Guild Wars 2 both use this system, and I would say it seems okay except when you lock certain classes behind these expansions. That's where it gets into the pay to win territory. I've been playing Destiny lately, and the only thing I can say is, to be fair to them, they are consistently reworking every class element, and as things stand, sometimes the free to play class elements end up being near the best for every class, if not the best. But the point is, if the best class became pay to win or become behind an expansion, then is it pay to win or no? I'm not exactly sure about that. Overall, this system is a bit hard to measure because expansions are typically big campaigns on their own, and sometimes they open a lot more content with them as well, but they also open access to better gear and weapons. So yeah, they are quite the package, to be honest. This should be enough. A lot of the systems discussed here today are systems that can be both good or bad depending on how a game implements them, and sometimes how much they make sense. The real problem comes when the system provides a lot less for a lot more, as well as when a system is added that will change how you play the game. For example, let's say one of the discussed systems just suddenly been added to your game that did never have it, eventually making your investment into a game as a hostage. But in all fairness, these systems are meant to make players pay, and I know they will not keep adding these hungry systems unless they are working. The point is, it will not hurt to have higher standards on what you spend your time and money in. Do not just buy in unless you know whatever you are getting is worthwhile. For example, buying skins for a game you feel you will be playing for a very long time is fine in my opinion. If a game is pushing for season passes and limited content, depending on how much it pisses you off, either accept it, do not partake on them, or just quit the game, because they should never decide what you do with your time. Thank you very much for watching, and please let me know what you think.